Welcome home. We are WNST, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive. We're positively taking the Maryland Crab Cake Tour back out on the road. Finally, we were down a little bit in March, putting together the 25th anniversary documentary, which comes out on Thursday night at 5:08 p.m. If you don't know why 5:08 p.m., you're just a young old-timer here. You're not a real old-timer or an OG, as my dogs would say. We're going to have these to give away. They're Pac-Man scratch-offs. The Maryland Lottery has armed me with these to give away. They've been very, very popular because Pac-Man's like awesome, and everybody loves Pac-Man. It's seminal, phenomenal. 40 years later, still as awesome as like my memories of the World Series in '83 were, because that's what I think about Pac-Man. But Wednesday, we're going to be at Greenmount Bowl, where they do have duck pins and 10 pins. We're going to be eating the Greenmount Station crab cake at 4 p.m. when the Angels take on the Orioles. And then on Friday, we're going to be at Fadley's at Lexington Market. I'm going to have some shrimp salad. Nothing wrong with the Fadley's crab cake, believe me. Have three. But I'm going to have the shrimp salad this time, Matt. Luke's going to join us as the Oakland Athletics via Sacramento and Las Vegas. They move him to the moon if this guy thought Fisher could make some money off it. I'm talking to a lot of Oakland people this week. Speaking of making money off of things, we welcome our financial insider, Leonard Raskin, back onto the program. He is with Raskin Global. They make the American dream happen. And what's your American dream here this week other than, so you got draft week. I'm doing this crazy documentary. I'm doing some crab cakes things. And we got springtime springing.
When is the draft? When is the draft? I don't know. Is it
You're wearing your Capitals jersey? Are you?
Yeah, I'm not back to football yet. When is the draft?
Thursday night. Thursday night.
25th.
Detroit.
25th. Yes. Okay. I knew it was Detroit. I didn't know the date. I didn't know which day it was. So what is my American dream right now? My American dream is looking for I got a few right now, but the first one is looking across the pond, as we have discussed in short biz. The boy graduates from The Ohio State on May the 5th, Cinco de Mayo. And in August, he will be leaving us for Trinity College in ye old Dublin, Ireland for a master's year. So that's part of my American dream, is paying for college overseas for a year. And then where I am right now, as you can see, I'm rocking the red. I'm ready for the NHL playoffs.
Have you been going to games? Any Caps games?
I have not. I've been such a slouch. I have not
so
gone.
So that's something that's different
I'm ready for the playoffs.
You, right?
Yeah,
right?
I usually catch a couple few during the year. Look, as we talked about, my first ever purchase towards my American dream right out of college was season tickets to the Caps.
That's when you knew you made it.
Had them for, well, that's when I knew I had a job. Hadn't made anything, just had a job. It was the first expense I got.
No. What I'm saying is the first thing that it felt like you had achieved something.
Yeah.
And having Caps tickets,
a real
were like
grown-up job. I could afford Caps tickets now.
Hey man,
and
we all
it was
had
a 40. It was a 40 game a year deal. And playoffs and the whole thing. Playoffs? Yeah, absolutely.
Well, every time they went around, it would cost you $600.
A lot more money, but that's the way it went. And now they play, what is it, Friday, Sunday at the whatever the heck it is arena these days down in D.C. I think it's Capital One.
Capital One. I saw the dates, and I reached to Kenny Albert because he's such a part of my story. So
a good seat, center ice, 50-yard line for those not knowledgeable. Red line, center ice, $500-600 downstairs for the one playoff game. It's a little rich for a hockey playoff game.
Yeah, I was going to say 4.25 is where I was.
Yeah, so I'll give it a few days.
But you're playing the Rangers, which is my point. There's money involved.
Right,
They're playing the Rangers. That's all.
Yeah, but they know better. They can watch them in New York. They know better.
Play the Carolina Hurricanes. It's different. That's all.
Right. We'll see what comes down as the week moves on, and maybe I'll get out to a game. The other part of my American dream this week is a little Jewish holiday happening. We got Passover going on. So
nice.
Little family this week, do a little family thing. And thinking about all that's going on in our crazy world right now with Columbia and Yale students protesting and all kinds of wacky, crazy going on out there, and hostages being held in Gaza. It's another nutty time. And so, it's a good time to get family together and sit around and think about things and reflect on how fortunate we are to be here at this time in the world. We talk about the boy, and he's a scholar of medieval European history. And I say to him, dude, You couldn't live over there for 5 minutes without air conditioning. Yeah. We have chocolate, we have indoor plumbing. He like loves that, period. I'm like, no, this is the greatest time to be alive in the history of the world, on the greatest in the greatest country in the history of the world. And you got to give thanks every now and then. You got to just sit back and say, hey, even the American dream can be a little dented for a moment, but we'll get through it. Life will be good. We move
Well,
on.
even with all that, with wealth and doing well and this and that, you can have boats, you can have yachts and all that stuff. There really is something about sports, and I think about entertainment in general.
Yep.
You and I
Yep.
were talking about how wildly entertained my wife and I were for $15 for going to see Pippen at
Yeah.
Notre Dame Prep a couple weeks ago. It makes me want to like
Absolutely.
look around and see what other things that like that. And people would say that about prep sports, going to see a high school team play, going and catching
Right.
a minor league game, or going, something that's more inexpensive to do. But there is a point where like you have the ability to do whatever you want to do.
Yep.
And sports, even you quacked out and said, too rich for my blood. I can watch it on
It's just
TV.
right.
They have
Right.
made it so going to a game, and look, last week, full disclosure, I'll get off the sports bent because I haven't told this story this week. I've talked a lot about the Oakland
Yeah.
A's. I went and saw Springsteen last week. Did you even know I was
Right.
going?
I didn't know you were going, but I saw you were there.
Yeah, so I went up to Syracuse, and
Syracuse, right. I
the
had some
only
other
reason
friends
I
that were up
went
there.
is my buddy Marty was going, and he offered me a ride back because I couldn't get a flight back. There were no flights at any price, and I got up there cheap and I had a room cheap. Should have gotten a better room. Don't do what I did. I told my wife, I'm like, you wouldn't have liked me very much. I mean, I slept okay, but it was rustic to say the least.
Yeah,
In East Syracuse, apparently after Carrier left there, business side, the hotels around that area got a little
not
dodge.
good.
So I go see Bruce in this awful dome. Like it's concrete and cement, and it's got the bleachers they ripped out of Memorial Stadium, and they put the aluminum. You know what I mean? They got aluminum, and there's no room for anything, and was awful sound. I love Bruce. It was a good time. I had fun. I got my value out of it. I'm not a $400 Bruce guy in the same way you're not a $650
Right,
cap guy, right?
right.
So I spent my $50 or whatever and shook my ass, had a good time, and laughed and
How'd
spent
he
good
sound?
time. Oh, he vibrant, back to life after the
Yeah, he was
ulcer.
back because he was out. He had to cancel
Yeah,
a whole bunch of.
he wasn't doing well last year, and it kind
Yeah,
of showed. And I think I had even, I don't want to say disparaged it, but said it wasn't as fun as it
yeah. You
used to
said it
be.
wasn't a good show, right?
Yeah, and this he's back. He's back and vibrant and interacting with kids and fans and giving kids harmonicas and taking
Good.
requests and just playing wild stuff and confusing the band. Nils Lofgren and I went back and forth last week. He's like, I can't come, I can't see you before the show. Bruce keeps giving us homework. They're gearing up for the European tour. By the way, they did the last night in Columbus last night. They were
There
in
you go.
Columbus.
There
And
you
you know what
go.
he opened with? You ready? He picks a
Hang
song.
on, Sloopy.
No,
No.
that would have been something. Maybe he did Youngstown
Okay.
in
Okay.
Columbus, Ohio. So you know how much like I'm willing to spend a certain amount on concerts.
Right.
Sports has sailed a little bit in that I've spent $1 billion on sports in a billion ways and bought Super Bowl tickets at face value for 15 years and
Yep.
spent $3 grand, like all of that, that I look at all that money and thinking if I would have given that to Leonard, but I wouldn't have the experience of having
That's
Prince
right.
playing Purple
Well,
Rain
look.
in the rain or whatever.
Hey, man, the
We,
American dream is so big and vast, and you're right on target. I tell people all the time. Speaking of which, Fiduci Who, the new book is out. We talked about that, and it's what a real fiduciary will tell you about protecting, growing, enjoying, and passing on your wealth. And that enjoy part, man, you make the point. Look, uh, you've spent a lot of money on those things, but that's been a blessing. That's been a joy for you. It's been a joy for you and your wife. Look, you go to these concerts, you go to these sporting events, you do all these things, and then one day you find out your wife has cancer, and you say, "Man, I might lose her, but you know what? We did all that stuff. We did the stuff we wanted to do. So what's all the money for?" I know people that have a lot of money. They're not happy. I know people that have a lot of money and didn't do any of the things they wanted to do. I think that's ridiculous. So, man, doing stuff you want to do along the way is a great thing. The only time we measure the lost opportunity in the wealth that you spend is when you're not getting enjoyment out of it. That's when you measure the
Well, right. When
loss.
you go see a rock star and the band's no good. I went to see Guns N' Roses. I didn't spend a lot of
Right.
money. I just didn't think it was good. And I didn't think it
Right.
was where I wanted to be at that moment any more than sometimes I find myself at a sporting event or here or there. And I'm like, why did I do this? Why did I sign up? Why am I in line? Why did I pay $400 to see Bruce at State College last year? I really didn't want to, but I wound up having a nice night with a friend and visiting. And
Right.
and that's always the value. A couple of weeks ago, and me, I manage my money. I'm Dundalk. We talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
this all the time,
Yeah.
right? You
Hey.
have to manage your money.
Right.
And I'm a living, breathing embodiment of having a lot, having a little, having a lot, having a little, having a little, having a lot. I mean, I've had it all, right? I mean, at various points, but it's never stopped me from enjoying. Well, I
That's
can't go
right.
see Springsteen in Europe this year. I'll find a cheap trip in Canada and maybe spend $1,000 instead of $5,000
That's
and
right.
still go see Bruce, right? So I've done, a lot of that kind of stuff. And um, I guess with concerts and finding the right fit for things like that and saying, do I want to spend money on this or do I not want to spend money on that? I felt that way about Springsteen. It was not going to Columbus was going to be a $225 get in Columbus because he
Yeah.
played an arena
Yeah.
and I paid $50 in Syracuse. So right off the
Right.
bat, the whole trip was financed from not being foolish about it.
Expensive. Right.
But
Crazy
when
trip.
Sting was playing with the Philadelphia Orchestra that night and the tickets
You
were up
went.
and they were $180, we're like, we're on. We're going.
Yeah.
Tonight's the night
Absolutely.
we're going to go all in. And you
Absolutely.
have to pick your
Well,
spots.
you
And
want to
I
hear
guess that's the
crazy.
sports part of this
Yeah,
is
that's
like
right.
having a bleacher seat and going and having some beers versus having a box seat and having some beers
Right.
versus going to dinner before or after. And like, how much is the night out? And I think I
Worth.
budget myself like crazy on all of those things because, there's only so much money to go around for all of us to some
That's
degree.
right.
We're all trying
Look,
to
I have a
watch it.
guy. I have a guy I've advised for a long time. Great guy. Makes a good living. Single. Had a great life. He's a gambler.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
I mean, like not a sports gambler, like a casino gambler. And when we started working together a number of years ago, he said to me as part of his planning, I gamble. I said, okay, so what does that mean? He said it means I take trips and I sometimes just stay local, but sometimes I don't. Well, back when I first worked with him, there wasn't no local. There wasn't gambling local. It was he had to go at least to Atlantic City and then to Vegas and wherever he would go, Monte Carlo
And then you say,
or
is
the
this a
islands.
$5,000 budget for the weekend? Is this a $500
That's
budget for
right.
the
That's right.
weekend?
What's the nut? And he said, about 10 grand, 15 grand a year. And I said, okay, so you hope to win, but you expect that over the course of the year in, year out, you're going to drop 10 to 15
You're going to
grand.
do $3,000,
Whatever it
weekend
is.
getaway, whatever it is. Right?
Whatever it
Okay.
is.
Yeah. Okay.
Whatever it is. And he said, yeah, that's right. I said,
But I don't
okay.
want a boat, Leonard. I don't need a boat.
Well, that,
right?
you know
Right.
what? He said, I don't have kids. I don't have a fancy house. I have a fancy car. I like sports, but I don't spend money going to sports. I don't do a lot of concerts. He said, it's my thing. I said, well, I can't say a thing because I drop a healthy sum on Ravens tickets. That's one of my things. So we all have that. What is the American dream? And where do I value my time? And he goes with friends. They have a great time. They do their thing. And if at the end of a week or 10 days or 2 days or whatever it is, he won, great. He lost, great, fine. But that's his entertainment for the year. I said, no worries. And the good news is,
Well, that's why I asked you if you were going to the Caps game, because all things
right,
considered,
right.
if tickets were $50 tonight, you'd pick me up and we'd go, and I would go with you because we would have a
Sure.
fun night
We'd
together.
hang out and have
But
a
all
ball.
of a sudden, if it's $250 for me and $250 for you and $75 to park and traffic, and you
Yep.
got to leave your wife and your dog and that, and I got,
Yep.
and all of a sudden it's
See,
how
now
much.
here's the thing.
Or I
So
would say
here's
to
the
you,
thing.
Leonard,
You
you
ready?
like me that much. Meet me up at Pappas tonight at the bar.
We'll
I'll buy
watch
you
it.
a crab cake.
We'll
We'll watch a
it.
game and we'll get out for $40.
See, now here's the thing.
And I'll
Over
do
the
that with
weekend-
you on Friday or Sunday. Matter of fact,
Over the
you wanna do
weekend,
that.
we'll get to that Friday. Over the weekend coming, I will be in DC for a business conference Saturday to Tuesday.
All right, so you're going to go to the game. You're going to game.
So Sunday night is looking very possible.
You'll SeatGeek that up. It depends on where the
Yeah,
series is.
right. Well,
Things
that's
didn't go well in
exactly
game
right.
one. Let's just start with that.
No,
right?
3-0, I may not show up.
Right.
2-1, 2-1.
See,
I'll
again, this is
probably
the kind
be
of
in the
fan
crowd.
you are. If they're down
That's
0-3,
right.
there's no value at all in it for you. Even when you're in DC,
That's
you have to
right. That's
drive.
right. I might not even go if they're down 3-0, but I think they got a shot. But boy, there's some good hockey this past weekend. There was some good hockey on. Uh, some wild games, some low, tight, some crazy high scoring 7-6. I don't know what's going on out there. Western Conference has got some wild teams happening. It's a wide open tournament. The Caps have as good a shot as anybody.
Well, if I would have known you were busting out your Caps gear, I
Yeah.
have all of my Predators jerseys.
Right.
I still have them all. The ones
Hey,
Trotz gave me, the ones
you
I
know,
bought. I
you
will
could
wear
talk
them. I'll
about
start wearing them.
the worst trade in Washington Capitals history, and not quite the worst in sports history. There's been others really bad, but getting rid of young Forsberg to uh, the Preds.
Yeah, it was a
To the
robbery.
Preds.
Yeah.
They the worst trade in Capitals history. They should have been flogged for that. He's become a superstar. He was going to be a superstar.
Yeah,
And
but
they
all
got a
that being
rental.
said,
They
they
got a
won a Stanley
rental of
Cup.
nobody. They got a rental of nobody for 3 weeks or something. It was
Yeah.
the worst trade ever. And to watch him now playing for the Preds and being their superstar and all-star and in the playoffs, consistent 30-plus goal scorer, you never know what he might have added to this team. But there goes, I'm not the general manager of that either.
Well, at some point they would have had to afford him and Ovechkin too.
Yeah,
So
you're right.
there was that.
Well,
I
they
mean,
have
that's the
found a
issue with
way.
your. Hey, let's
Look,
take it to the
Leonsis has
Orioles.
found a way to afford a lot of players over the
Hey,
years.
let's talk about the Orioles right now.
Let's
Leonard.
do it.
Leonard Raskin is here, Raskin Global. You can find him out at the front of Baltimore Positive on Follow on the American Dream as well. I mean, the embarrassment of riches. I mean, you've been an Oriole fan
Yes.
for a long, long time.
Yes.
You mentioned one prospect that got away with the Caps, and we could talk about the Orioles. And I don't know that, any of the Manny Alexanders or the Jeffrey Hammonds
They
or
haven't
the Eric
lost.
Bedards.
They haven't lost the best of the best. A couple of them. They've lost a couple of them.
Well, Rodriguez in the deal that brought the pitcher Miller.
We always we let
Eduardo
Mussina
Rodriguez
get away, which was one of my
Yeah, that's a free
sad.
agency thing, though. That's
I
different.
know, but they could have found a way. And then I wasn't really upset about Manny because they were completely rebuild when it was time for him to go. They got a good haul back there.
Well,
Who I
Kramer's
didn't
pitching
like?
this week, so right?
You
I mean,
know
he's
who I
part of
didn't
that.
like seeing go away? I didn't like oh my God, I just lost his name. Pitcher, help me. With the Indians for a long time was
Dennis Martinez.
well, no, Dennis was
No.
past when it was more recent past. He's still pitching. Long-haired dude. He had no hair.
Arrieta.
No. Oh God.
Arrieta was the worst that they couldn't figure him out.
Yeah. And there's one other one. Who's the starter? Great starter. I can't think of his name. Why can't
Kid
I
that
think
ate
of
the
his name?
donuts. Gosman?
Gosman.
Okay,
Gosman.
fair enough.
Kevin Gosman. Thank you. Kevin Gosman, I thought they could have they didn't have pitching coaches that could figure these kids out.
Well,
That was their
Arrieta
problem.
certainly was,
Yeah.
that's the one. Like if
There's
I'm
a
talking to
couple that you
Luke,
kind of
I'm
go.
going to make this a conversation with Luke this week about
Yeah,
the guys that got
they,
away because
yeah.
it certainly feels like this particular class, now that Westberg is sort of filled out,
Yep.
Colton Cowser's here. We're going to talk about Holiday slump and 1 for 30. And I mean,
the kid hit.
When a kid goes to the Hall of Fame, they'll look back and laugh
They'll look
at this.
back and laugh.
But all that being said, he's got to make some
Man,
contact. He's got to start hitting the ball.
Whew, bunt. Just lay down a bunt or two.
That's no such thing. They don't do that anymore.
I mean, my goodness, get on base. He doesn't walk either.
Well,
a lot of
they're
striking
not
out.
walking as a team right now
No,
so much.
There's a lot of striking out going on at his bats.
Well, there's also a lot of home runs, and I got home run riches. I got my Pac-Man tickets here. I keep telling John Martin we're going to run out of money with these home runs and these grand slams because we're going to run the Maryland Lottery ragged in home run riches.
They are hitting them out of the park. That hydration station. How about having a water bong in the?
That is the veteran leadership of the backup catcher.
That is great. That is great.
Every great team has a great backup catcher. I hope at some point I get my press credential back and I can actually go and talk to these guys about this stuff. That would be fun.
How great is that to see Rutschman crank a grand slam and 4 of them at a time chugging a little water blast. That's just good fun.
Well,
That's
yeah, I mean
good
the team.
fun.
This team is fun. So to your
Who are they
point,
going to keep?
six
Who are they
hundred
going to
bucks
get
to go
rid
to a
of?
Caps game.
Yeah.
And this is where I would even bring the baseball conversation. Like Mike Rosenfeld this week, our chief digital officer, is going out to Detroit for the draft, right? He's going to be, his
Yep.
son's out there, obviously a holiday. He's out there doing the draft thing in Detroit. We're like, when's the draft coming here? And like all of that.
Right.
And I think
Not
about
next year.
baseball, and if I were meeting with Mr. Rubenstein this week and sitting with him for a couple of hours of air time and talking about things, one of the things I would say to him is, because I don't think he grew up rich. I mean, he's a billionaire, but I don't
No.
think he didn't grow up rich, right? You
No, I
didn't
don't
grow up
think
with
so.
any means at all. My
Right.
documentary's coming out in the next couple of days. It's very
Yep.
obvious of where I lived and where I came from, what my parents' background, and my mother never worked. My dad worked at the Point, so like that, for 35
Yep.
years. So baseball was a way in my neighborhood when my father was a lower middle class working man with a union and a pension at the Point in the 70s, that and he always fudged being a senior citizen. He always got the senior citizen discount at 59 or whatever. I think he was on to that when he was 56, maybe 58, but he would get the senior citizen. All of my ticket stubs that I have
Yeah.
are senior citizen and childs, because I was a kid in the
Right.
70s and he
Right.
was 60 years old, right?
That's
He was
it.
born in 1919. So he was 60 years old in
Yep.
1979. So if that qualifies for senior, my dad wasn't
Sure.
42 pulling it.
Now you can be 55 and get all that stuff.
Right, exactly. AARP's come in, the Stones
Right.
are torn. So I would just say, from the baseball perspective, from my father's perspective of not having much, and to honor him and my family, and this documentary does that very early
Yeah.
on, and our love of Oriole baseball. One thing about Oriole baseball was Mr. Rubenstein, it was incredibly affordable for my family, for my
Yeah.
dad to sit in the bleachers, to be bleacher bums, which is we sat in section 11 at every game until my dad didn't go, and then I hoodwinked my mother into getting me terrace box seats
There
because
you
she
go.
didn't know any better, and had an extra $3 that day to be able to do that. But my dad would take a $10 bill, and we would go out to the game, and cash. He had a bus card, so it was free. Yeah, the
Yep.
bus was free, transportation free. I'm a kid. I think I got on with him because he was dad, or
Some
I
way.
paid
Sure.
25 cents to go,
Sure.
right? We stopped at G&A Coney Island Hot Dog in Highlandtown. I've told the story a million times. And we would get the hot dogs there that were 50 cents, maybe 65 if you wanted chili. And I never got any of that because it gooped it up. I'm a ketchup and relish guy. You could let Ryan Ripken know that because he's been asking around. And we would go out, and my dad, we would buy nothing there. We would buy our way in. We wouldn't buy programs or any of that kind of stuff. And my dad could afford to do that 41 times in the summer of 1979, which we did. I was 10 years old, 11 years old. He could afford to take me every night, and he could afford to take other kids. Like he
Right.
would say, little Marky Elliott, you want to come? Get your dad to give you $3 just so we can get you on the
Yep.
bus and get
Yep.
out there. We're going to get you a hot dog in Highlandtown. You're not going to bother me for food at the game or drinks because you're not going to
Right.
have any money. But if you want to go, we'll take the whole neighborhood. My dad would take everybody out, and it was a part of our culture. It was a part of what we
Yeah.
did. And
Absolutely.
and that's got to come back and it's not that way. I guess my Springsteen story was I had a $14 beer at Springsteen,
Nice.
and like I had a $14 beer, and I wanted another one. I wasn't driving. I was
Right.
Ubering. I could have had 10 of them if I
Right.
wanted to. At $14, how many beers am I having? And I'm
Yeah.
not a cheapskate. You're my money manager. That's dumb. You know what I mean? It gets to the point where it's a decision to
Yep.
say,
Is
I'm
that
I'm just
really?
not doing another $14 tonight on a beer.
Yep.
I'm not.
I'm with you.
So,
I'm
but
with
that's
you.
what it's going to take to keep these baseball players. That's the
Yeah.
truth.
That's what it is. Well, it's that and TV. It's TV, it's media, and it's expensive food and jerseys and licensing agreements and the gate, but they got to get people to come in. They got to get them to come in. They had what, 30, I guess they had 30 some thousand last week. That wasn't bad for was it a Milwaukee game?
Yeah, the
30 some
Sunday
thousand.
it was an alarmingly large
Yeah, that
number
was
in
nice.
crowd,
That was
and the
nice.
weather. Hey, the weather's going to be nice this weekend. Sunday's going to be real nice here.
Well, there's no game. Is there a game here?
Yeah, they're home this weekend. Oakland's home, and
Oh,
then
I
the
thought
Yankees come in on Monday.
the Oakland, we don't know what they're going to be called days after that, right?
Yeah, this is sort of a telling week. I mean, you don't even know they're home, right? So like
Yeah.
they're home
Well,
on
that's because I'm
Friday.
away.
Well, I'm doing the show on Friday at Fadley's because they're home
Right.
against the A's, and then on
Right.
Monday the Yankees come to town next week.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got
So
it.
I mean, it is
That could be a
a
big series to
oh,
see
by
how
the
they
way,
do.
I'm going to pull the weather up, and this is early going because Leonard and I are taping this a little earlier in the week. But Sunday 78, Monday
Yeah,
82, Tuesday 75, Wednesday 76. That's when the Yankees are in town. So you're
that
going to
should
have
be
Yankees
nice.
fans. I mean,
Yeah,
you might see 35 or 40,000 people in the ballpark on
on a
those
Monday.
nights based on weather and price. When
Yeah,
the Angelos family, it was $23 to get in. It was blah, 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 blah. It's a $100 night on a Monday night to go see the
yep,
Yankees play. That's a decision. $100 night's a decision. A
yeah, for a
$12
family.
ticket and a
For a
couple of
family.
$5
Well,
beers, like literally, that's
didn't
not a
they have
decision
now?
for me. A
I don't know
$50
when they
night
did
at an Oriole
this.
game, I'm in. I'm in.
I don't know when they did this last year, but didn't they do like the rest of the year, come as often as you want, sit in a certain area for
Well, this is
25
the new
bucks?
model, Leonard, right? The new model, and Marty Conway and I have been back and forth on
Yeah.
this. The new model really is what is the new model, which is
Well, I'll
here
tell
is
you.
the package where you get all the games on TV. And if
Yep.
you buy that package for X dollar, you get the 10% off thing for the 10
Yep.
to
Yep.
join the club. And if you join the club and buy the season ticket, that's their subscription, right? Like you
Yep.
have at the Hippodrome, you buy a subscription.
You
Now
get
all of a
something
sudden
else.
you're getting 20% off of this and that. You get to get you get a pat on the back and your kid runs the bases and you get
Well,
this or
the other
that or
thing I saw this year that I hadn't seen before, maybe it was here before, but I hadn't paid attention. You can buy the whole season. You can buy the 13 game. You can buy the Sunday only package. But this year, I was told they have this new deal where you can put money on deposit. Have you heard of this?
no, it's just
You
like
can,
layaway at Kmart.
yeah. Hey, you can put 500 bucks or 1,000 bucks or 2,000 bucks. Let's say you put 500 bucks. You got a card. So when you come to the game, you go to the window, you buy your ticket, and you give them your card. They take it out of your 500 bucks. And then you go in and you
But
buy
that
at the
500
casino.
bucks gets you the discounts and the stuff.
Correct.
Okay.
You go to the concession and you want to buy a dog and a beer, and instead of 22 bucks, it's 15. You get 20% off or something.
Chris Pica told
And
me about this because he was bragging about how
so,
reasonably priced his food was on opening day. And
yeah,
he
yeah.
listen, I'm gonna tell you what, you don't handle Pica's money. He's the cheapest SOB I know. I don't want to
I was
call
gonna
him the
say,
other thing.
is he Jack Luskin?
He
Cheapest guy in town, right?
listen
Wasn't
to
that
me.
Jack Luskin?
If I ever put one day, you and Pica will do a segment together because you're recurring friends of real
Right,
people I love and are in my
right.
world. You'll intersect, and when you do, you'll see he's the cheapest guy I know,
There
and
you
even
go.
he is buying things from the Orioles and buying concessions and bragging to me about that. It's not as bad as you think when you're a
Right.
member of the club, right?
Right. Well, this is the thing. It's like 20 or 25% off. And what you do is you use that. And apparently you can call ahead. You can go online, you can buy the ticket.
See,
And as
TJ
long as the
Brightman should
game's
be sending
available,
people over. Mr. Rubenstein should have people on the
as
show
long as the
talking
game is
about this.
available, you can you can use it for that night. You buy as many tickets as you want. So instead of buying tickets, you can't go to the game, you got to trade them in, whatever. You just throw some money at them. And when you want to go, you use up your stash. And when you go to the concessions, it's cheaper than, so you get 20, 25% off at the concessions. And it seems like a fair deal. And if you want
It's
to
kind
take
of like
10
when you get
people,
gift cards at Christmas.
right,
You
right.
buy $100 in gift cards, you get a $25 card free.
That's
Right.
right. That's exactly right.
All
It's a
right. Well,
beautiful thing. And the only thing you have to worry about with that gift card is that the company stays in business till you use it. I've had that happen. I bought a gift
yeah.
card for a restaurant. By the time I went to use it, they were no longer in business.
Get hungry tonight when you get it. Stay hungry, as Twisted Sister once said.
Stay hungry.
Leonard Raskin is
Twisted
here.
Sister. There's a band.
I've been trying to get D. Snyder on this week.
D. Snyder, right.
I'm making a shout. If anybody knows D, I can get D on the show.
With the hair.
What
Does he
happened
still have
was,
hair?
let me give you a little history because we're doing a 25th anniversary documentary. When I did Free the Birds, there's a guy named Greg Abel that you may know through Abel Communications here locally. He was on the show
Yeah.
3 weeks ago. Opening day week, I had him on
Yeah.
because he was the guy who made the internet video of Free the Birds that the day afterward, it was on this thing called YouTube that nobody had heard of in
nobody had heard of.
2006.
Right.
And I watched his video and he used illicitly
Yes.
the song "We're Not Gonna Take It."
Right.
And it's
Twisted
now,
Sister.
so over the 18 years of the video being up on YouTube, there have been times when it's been completely muted, and there are
Right.
times when it's back. It's back now. So you can go, and if you
Got it.
Google Free the Birds, Orioles, Nestor, whatever, Angelos, this video pops up. And it just begins with the cowbell. We're not gonna
Yeah, right.
take it.
Right.
No. So that triggered me a month ago to the fact that John Allen came and did the crab cake tour with me at Costas last month, and they're opening for D. Snyder. D. Snyder's playing
Oh my
M3
goodness.
2 weeks from now. So I'm like, I had interviewed D
Where is he
back in
playing?
M3 at Merriweather, the
Oh,
M3
okay.
festival, the
Got it.
festival
Got it.
weekend.
Got it. Got it.
So, and that's a, heavy metal regional festival. It's a
Right.
big deal.
Right.
So, and I go almost every year. I mean, almost every year I go to one of the 2 days, or there used to be 3 days. But so I said, I want to get D. Snyder on. He's got a book
Right. There
out.
you go.
But I'm struggling to get him on. So, and I want to rock,
Right.
but, yeah, it makes me think
That's
of Animal
that's
House too, right?
that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Anything that makes me think of Animal House.
M3. When is M3?
Next weekend. That's the weekend of the
Next
3rd, 4th.
weekend.
That's the weekend our new website's going to launch next weekend.
That's the weekend I'll be at graduation.
You're still going to look really handsome on the front of the new BaltimorePositive.com.
There you
Tell me
go.
what you do, Leonard Raskin. You manage money, but it's more
We
than that.
manage
Really.
money. We help people protect it, make sure that it can't be taken. We help you grow it, invest it, manage it. We help you enjoy it. As we said, we've been talking about all show, and then how to transfer it, how to get it to those you love and care about. We are in people's lives to show them how money works and to understand that there are a lot of things they've been taught and told about how money works that just aren't true, and that they have to understand how money works, because we live in a society where if you don't, you get taken advantage of, beat up, and you lose a lot of money because of ignorance. It's no fault of your own. It's not taught in schools. It's not taught in college. It takes a professional to teach it. You have to understand that these things exist, and what the world is out there to try to snap you up and knock you down, and not make the mistakes that too many people make, and understand how businesses operate with money, understand how wealthy people operate with money, and make decisions like that for yourself and your future, your family, those you care about. And most importantly, how to enjoy it and make sure you have enough of it. We
So,
live in a money society.
if I still had an executive producer like Ray Bachman, who was kind enough to read on our 25th anniversary documentary, along with Gina Schock and Keith Brewer from the Ravens and Mike Brillhart and John Allen, and so everybody's pitched in. Bill Cole pitched in.
Yep.
But if I had an executive producer, one of the quality of Ray Bachman, it would be on the glass right now, would say Leonard Raskin, owner Raskin Global, author of Fiducia Who. So I got to make sure that I put that in there now all the time, in the way that Mola would always tell me that.
Best-selling author.
When I had Sheila Dixon on 2 weeks ago, literally right before she came on, Kiefer Mitchell walked in. He ran for mayor when she was mayor.
Yeah.
He came in and greeted her. He was just coming in he was coming in to get a crab cake, literally.
Yep.
Just walking in off the street in a suit. I'm like, Keith, hey, I was about to do the show with her. He called her Madam Mayor. Hi, Madam Mayor. And that just rolled off his tongue, because that's what it rolls off. So what I want to do is have Fiducia Who roll off my tongue when I mention you.
It.
What is Fiducia Who?
Fiducia Who. It's a book about all the things we do for money. And it's the fact that a lot of people out there claim to be fiduciaries and give you information and advice that's in your best interest. And I find it appalling that they often don't. They often give you information that is ignorant, that they were taught that's not correct, that they tell you what to do with your money that can cause you harm. And so it's a book about how not to do that and how to have generational wealth and do the best with your money that you can. And where much is given, much is expected. So we wanted people to understand how their money is and not, and what to expect, and what it is to work with a financial professional that is a fiduciary, and that's what we are.
All right. Taking good care of people for a long, long time. Raskin Global, I've got the shirt on. At some point, we'll get together and lament the end of the Capitals season. I just don't know when that's going to be. So,
hopefully after they hoist the cup for the second time.
You believe? You think they've got a run in them, do you? No.
A man's got to hope. You got to have hope.
The
You gotta
real
have
reason
hope.
you're not blowing 6 1/4 on center ice tickets is
Gotta have
it's
hope.
like Tug McGraw. You don't believe. You don't
Right.
believe is what it is. I appreciate everybody who's given me some love this week in anticipation of the 25th anniversary documentary, including Leonard Raskin, including all of our sponsors. I meant to get Dennis on this week. He was a little bit under the weather before the draft. So I just want to give shout out to everybody from Wise Markets and Royal Farms and the Toyota folks and the Pivot folks and everybody that's ever supported us. We hope to make you proud with the documentary coming out on Thursday to make you laugh a little bit, make you think a little bit, and at least sort of bring you up to speed on where we are and how we got here. I think that was sort of my thesis in the beginning is you found me somewhere at a parade, at a road trip, at a game, at the barn, in Little League, somewhere along life's highway. You listened to me on the radio or found me somewhere. This is how kind of it all happened. So I hope to at least answer those questions. 5:08 p.m. There is a significance to that number for the Free the Birds folks out there. That'll be on Thursday night before the draft. We'll hope to have the movie out. I hope I'm not late delivering it, but Greg Landry and I are working hard on all the finishing touches at Towson Transfers and Blue Rock Productions. I am Nestor. We are WNST, AM 1570. Towson, Baltimore. We never stop talking Baltimore. On behalf of Pac-Man, positive.